I want to start with a very specific feeling, a memory that I think a lot of us have probably tried to forget.
Okay.
You're in a conversation, right? Maybe with a family member or even a stranger on a plane, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just chatting.
Mm-hmm. The small talk.
Exactly. The weather, sports, and then the topic shifts. It gets a little deeper, and this little alarm goes off in your head.
Oh, I know this alarm.
It's that voice that screams, "Okay, this is it. The window is open. Pivot. Pivot to faith. Say something."
The dreaded pivot. That moment where all the air just whoosh leaves the room.
Right. And immediately you can feel it physically. Your palms get sweaty. Your heart starts racing.
Yeah, performance anxiety, it's real.
It's like you've been pushed onto a stage, you don't have a script, and you just feel like you're about to botch the whole thing.
It is such a visceral reaction.
Yeah.
And it's tragic, really. Because you feel like the eternal destiny of this person rests entirely on you being super eloquent in the next, 30 seconds?
Exactly. It feels like this final exam that we just haven't studied for. But today we are doing a deep dive into a text that basically says, stop.
Just stop.
Just stop. The source is Witness Before Method, Recovering the Identity of the Gospel Bearer. And honestly, reading it felt like a permission slip to just finally exhale.
It really does. It dismantles that whole pressure cooker.
Yeah.
The core premise here is, I think, really profound because it shifts the focus completely.
How so?
Well, the source argues the biggest obstacle to evangelism today isn't, a hostile culture or lack of opportunity. It's an identity crisis.
An identity crisis. That's a huge claim. So it's not about what we're doing, but who we think we are.
Precisely. We've detached the act of witnessing from the identity of the witness.
Yeah.
We've turned it into a task.
Something to check off a list.
A chore, yeah. So the mission of this deep dive is to help us move from doing evangelism, which causes all that fear, to being a witness, which the source says is, a source of natural joy.
Okay, I like the sound of that, but I want to push back a little. Because doing is measurable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know if I handed out a tract, being feels a bit abstract.
That's a fair point, and
Yeah.
it's a valid skepticism. But let's look at why the measurable approach is failing us. The text calls this the anxiety of performance.
Right.
Think about it. We often treat evangelism like a skill you have to master, like coding or, playing the piano.
Or more like sales.
Sales is the perfect analogy. We become spiritual telemarketers. We've got scripts. We have rebuttals for objections. We have a closing strategy.
And what's the first thing you do when a telemarketer calls?
You hang up. You run away.
Exactly. Because you know it's transactional. And if you're the salesperson and you're bad at it, you just end up feeling guilty, inadequate.
Right. The source gives this case study of a woman named Rachel. And she's fascinating because she checks all the boxes. She loves God. She's theologically sound.
She wants to share her faith.
Genuinely wants to. But the second she gets into a conversation with a non-believer, she just freezes.
Why? Is it because she's afraid she'll get a question she can't answer?
It's deeper than that. She freezes because she stops being present in the conversation. She's suddenly a student in an oral exam.
Mm.
She's so obsessed with saying the right words to get the right result that she totally disconnects from the human being in front of her. She's not sharing an experience. She's trying to manage an outcome.
That hits home. People can feel that. They know when they're a project.
They absolutely do.
So if we strip away that marketer mindset, what's left? We can't just be silent.
Silence isn't the goal. The shift is from marketer to participant. And the source points us to 2 Corinthians 5, to the idea of the ambassador.
Okay, an ambassador. So they represent a country. They live in a foreign land.
Right. Think about their actual job.
Yeah.
Does an ambassador write the foreign policy? Do they decide to go to war?
No, that comes from the capital, from the president or the king.
Exactly. Do they create the message they deliver?
No, they're just the messenger. They show up and say, here is what my sovereign says.
That distinction is everything. The source has this one line that I underlined twice. It says, a witness does not create the truth. A witness testifies to what has already happened.
Let's pause on that. Testifies to what has already happened. That's a courtroom analogy.
It's exactly a courtroom analogy. If you witness a car accident, what's your job on the stand? Do you need to be persuasive? Do you need to close the deal with the jury?
No, you just say what you saw. The blue car ran the red light.
That's it. You are reporting on a reality you experienced. You're not manufacturing it. The source says, when we act like marketers, we feel the burden to persuade. When we're witnesses, our job is just to report.
That does take a lot of the pressure off.
Yep.
But I still think there's a hurdle here. A lot of people might feel, okay, but I need to report it perfectly. Like if I stutter, the whole thing falls apart.
And that's where the source talks about the order of operations.
Okay.
This is the theological backbone of the argument.
Okay.
It's in Acts 1:8, a verse most of us know. You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses.
The classic missions verse, yeah. It's on the wall of every youth room.
But look at the sequence. It's critical. Step 1, the Spirit comes. Step 2, you receive power. Then step 3, you become witnesses.
It doesn't say, you will go do witnessing.
It says you will be my witnesses. Witnessing is the result. It's the output. The Spirit and the power are the input.
And we try to skip to step 3.
We try to generate the output without the input. It's like trying to drive a car with no gas.
Yeah.
You can get out and push, sure, but you're going to get exhausted.
And you're going to hate the car.
Exactly. And the source uses that other great metaphor, the vine and the branches, from John 15.
The gardening analogy.
It's so simple. Does a branch have to strain and grunt and go to seminars to produce a grape?
No, it just hangs there. If it's connected, the sap flows, the grape happens. It's just biology.
The fruit, the witness, is a natural byproduct of abiding. It's an overflow.
Yeah.
So if you're stressed about this stuff, the problem isn't your script. It's probably your connection to the vine.
That sounds almost too easy. I can just hear some people listening now saying, okay, but if I just abide, doesn't that make me passive? Do I just sit around and hope someone notices my spiritual glow?
That is a fair pushback. And abiding isn't passivity. It's active reliance. It's the difference between powering a boat with oars versus a sail.
Okay.
You still have to raise the sail. You still have to steer the boat. But you aren't generating the wind. The wind does the work.
I like that. But let's look at the evidence. Does this actually work? Because we think of church growth as these big strategic movements, crusades, programs.
But the source dives into some history that suggests the opposite. The case study in Acts 8 of the scattered believers is just wild. It defies every modern rule.
So set the scene. This is right after Stephen is martyred.
Yes. The church in Jerusalem is under massive attack. It's a refugee crisis. People are fleeing for their lives.
So from a strategic perspective, this is a total disaster. You don't launch a global campaign when you're just trying to survive.
Exactly. No budget, no headquarters, no celebrity apostles leading the charge. They stayed behind in Jerusalem. These are just normal people running for their lives. And the text says they preached the word wherever they went.
How? How is that possible if they're in panic mode?
Because it wasn't a program. It was just who they were.
Mm-hmm.
The Greek word used there isn't for a formal sermon. It's closer to gossiping the gospel.
Huh, I like that.
They showed up in a new town, and they talked about the transformation they'd experienced. Their hope was so different that it made people curious.
So it's just organic conversation.
It was inevitable. It spread through relationships, not a program. The source argues the lack of a program actually made them more effective. They had to rely on the Spirit. They had nothing else.
It feels like we've professionalized something that was meant to be deeply personal.
That's it exactly. Look at Peter. Before the resurrection, he's all performance. I'll never deny you.
And then he completely folds. A servant girl asks him a question, and he denies Jesus 3 times.
Because he was relying on his own courage, his own willpower. Fast forward to Pentecost. He stands up and delivers this powerhouse sermon. Did he take a public speaking class in those 50 days?
No. The only thing that changed was the Spirit.
The Spirit and his identity. He knew who he was. He was a witness to a literal resurrection. When you've seen a dead man walk, you don't need a script. You just tell people.
That's a strong point. And this brings us to the practical side of this, because, most of us aren't moving to the desert to be monks. We have jobs and commutes. How do we do this in the suburbs?
Right. So the source offers a tool called the identity audit.
An audit.
It's a mental exercise to root out the lies that are fueling your anxiety. Step 1 is just to identify your fears.
Be specific.
Very specific. Am I afraid of rejection? Of looking stupid? Of not knowing an answer about science or suffering? You have to name the fear to disarm it.
Okay, step 2.
Expose the misconceptions. This goes back to the salesman idea. Are you believing evangelism is a debate you have to win?
Or a quota you have to hit for God?
Right. If you believe it's a debate, you'll be defensive. If you believe it's a duty, you'll be resentful.
And step 3 is replacement.
You replace the lie with the biblical truth. I am not a salesperson. I am an ambassador. I don't create the truth. I report what I've seen.
Reframing it's everything. But what about the actual words? The source has a specific format for this, the one-paragraph testimony.
I love this because it solves the rambling problem. When we get nervous, we overtalk. We try to explain the entire history of theology in 5 minutes.
Right.
This says, stop. Shift from arguments to personal transformation. It's 3 simple beats.
Okay, beat 1.
Beat 1, the struggle. Just be honest.
Yeah.
I used to be consumed by anxiety about my career.
Simple enough? Beat 2.
The intervention. Not a theological treatise, just the encounter. Then I began to understand that my worth isn't tied to my job because of what Jesus did for me.
And beat 3.
The hope. I still have stress, but I don't have that same panic. There's a peace I can't really explain.
So it's, I was here, Jesus met me, now I'm here.
That's it. And here's the genius part. It's irrefutable. You can argue with my theology. You cannot argue with my story.
You can't tell me I'm wrong about my own life.
Exactly. It just lowers the temperature of the whole conversation. You're not trying to convert them. You're just sharing a part of your life.
There's one last practical piece here. Presence over program.
Yes. This challenges the idea that we need to add evangelism time to our calendar.
Like, Tuesday night is evangelism night.
Right. The source says you are already in the world. The question isn't, when do I go witness? It's, am I present as a witness where I already am?
The source uses the example of David, the youth leader.
Yeah, David was trying to preach at these at-risk kids, and it wasn't working. They were shutting him down.
He was trying to be the authority.
So he just stopped. He stopped forcing it and just started modeling integrity. He showed up on time. He was patient. He was consistent when no one else in their lives was.
He was just there.
But he was there differently. And that difference eventually made the kids curious. They started coming to him. Why didn't you freak out when that kid stole your phone?
And that is the open door.
Exactly. When you stop pushing, people often start pulling. Curiosity is a much better engine than confrontation.
It really all comes back to that idea of overflow. If the branch is healthy, the fruit just grows.
And if you try to fake it, that leads to my favorite image in the whole text. The plastic grapes.
I laughed out loud at this.
It's a terrifyingly accurate image. Performance-based evangelism is like a dead branch trying to tape plastic grapes onto itself to look productive.
From far away, it might look okay. Hey, look at all that fruit.
Sure, but get up close. It's fake, it's lifeless, and eventually the tape wears out and the plastic falls off. That's us when we try to witness without abiding. It's exhausting for us, and the world can smell the plastic a mile away.
They know it's fake.
They crave something real.
So the antidote is to stop worrying about the fruit and just focus on the connection to the vine.
That's the final reframe. The pressure is off because the results belong to God. Your job is just to stay connected. If you do that, real fruit will happen. It might not be on your timeline, but it will be real.
That completely changes the metric for success. Success isn't, did I close the deal?
Success is, did I stay connected?
And that is a burden you can actually bear. So for the listener who started this deep dive with sweaty palms, the challenge is to stop asking, how can I do evangelism better?
Wrong question.
And start asking, who am I in Christ?
Dig into that identity. Let that reality soak in until it has nowhere to go but out.
I want to leave you with this final thought from the source. We think we need a better strategy or a better script. But what if the most effective evangelism tool isn't a strategy you learn, but the person you are becoming?
And what if your ordinary, imperfect life, when it's genuinely surrendered to the Spirit, is the very sermon the world is actually waiting to hear? Not a sermon you write, but one you live.
That changes everything. It means your commute, your emails, it all matters.
It all matters.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time.